Hello, everyone. Welcome to Yoga with Bee. Go ahead and take an easy seat, your most comfortable seat on the mat. And I've got a tennis ball here to remind you all to go ahead and place a tennis ball next to your yoga equipment next week. We will start using a tennis ball next week, and it'll be just a small part of class, but don't feel like you have to go out and get one. If you don't have one, you can substitute another kind of ball or just lie and relax and kind of set to the side what I might be cueing with the tennis ball. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Find your sits bones. Just take a moment to press those into the floor, to let that rebound effect, that opposite effect, take place inside your body. As you sort of train your body, that yoga means that you'll work on your posture. You know, maybe it's not perfect still, that's okay. And you'll be able to imagine yourself doing things, even if you can't do them physically. That's sort of the magic of yoga, is being able to see yourself in Warrior Three and having your brain light up the same way as if you were actually doing it, kind of living the experience instead of doing it. So go ahead and close down your eyes. Just begin to bring your attention inward. And just some great advice that I received today is, don't do yoga to try to change anything about yourself other than your mindset that you already have a perfect body, that you can be grateful for what the body can do. Even as we age, there's less that our body can do. We can still be grateful for what we have and honor our body, letting ourselves choose what we do and don't want to do in yoga, maybe where we want to stop and enjoy the position we're in rather than moving on to the next thing. Maybe keeping the arms low instead of lifting them high. Whatever you need to do to make this practice available so that you do actually wind down. And I hope you'll begin to notice throughout the semester that you're sleeping better on Wednesday nights, maybe feeling better, more energetic on Thursday mornings, or whenever you're taking the class, you're feeling better that night with a little more energy, it rejuvenates you, and or the next morning you're feeling the effects. So just become aware of your breath here. And all this week in my classes, I've been doing Ujjayi breath. I think it's a great breath to use to achieve our purpose of practicing a gentle class as well as winding our body down. So let's begin by constricting our throat and letting our inhales and exhales travel through this smaller trachea, leading into our lungs. See if you can slow the breath down as you breathe. And just notice the vibrations going through your vocal cord, of the air going through your vocal cords, right? Without speaking part happening. So there is a little noise, little bit of wind that escapes past those cords, vibrating them. Take 3 more of these Ujjayi breaths, inhales and exhales, complete breaths. And then set that breath aside, watching what your body does next. Perhaps coaxing the body a little bit if needed to keep the breath lengthened. And now let's flutter open our eyes. We're going to begin wiggling our fingers first, stretching the palm of the hand, and then rounding the fingers into a fist. Let's go ahead and move the feet into a position, if they're not already, where we can wiggle the toes. Maybe point and flex the feet. Maybe you want to keep the hands and fingers moving. And as you move your hands and feet, think about the range of motion in your fingers and each thumb, and the ankles, cross the toes of the feet. And just think about how to move in such a way that you're exploring those ranges of motion. We're going to start to shift now, and we're going to actually lay our bodies down. We're going to begin our class supine. And to get there, let's rock and roll so that we can lower and lift our spine onto and off of the floor, just using the pumping action, excuse me, of our feet to coax the body into this forward and backward roll. Just letting the head kind of lead the way as the back releases to the floor, and then the feet lead the way as the body comes up. Next time your back is on the floor, let's bring both knees into the chest. Hugging the knees, if you'd like, you can use a strap to draw the knees towards you. That's a good feeling, whether your arms can reach the legs or not. There's something about using a strap that brings the knees in. And then let's let the feet float down to the mat. And let's bring our arms into cactus arms. Just see if you can keep your elbows at shoulder level and release your wrist and the back of your palm so that the hand is right above the elbow. And then just notice what that's doing to your torso. And if you need to lift the middle part of your back, get your shoulder blades a little closer together towards the spine and then release the spine back onto the mat. Go ahead and do that. Let's, from here, start into some windshield wipering of the knees. So we're just going to let the knees sway from left to right. Maybe your knees come down a little lower as time goes by. Maybe your hips loosen up. Maybe you're kind of holding back, and then you start to let more and more release. And you might find that as you lower your knees to one side, the bottom knee touches the floor all the way. And you might find that it works to attach your breath to this motion by exhaling the knees down and then inhaling the knees up. Just letting the body move with the breath, keeping everything in sync, if you will. And the next time the knees are back up towards the sky, let's draw one or both at a time back into the body. And let's hug ourselves here one more time. Let the next inhale lift the head, neck, and chest. We can bring our nose to our knees, working our abdominal muscles here, holding for as long as we'd like, or releasing when we're ready, whenever we're ready, just releasing. And doing that on an exhale. So if you haven't released your neck, go ahead and do that. We'll let both feet float down to the mat. We'll stretch our legs out. And let's begin a full body stretch with our arms down by our side, palms down. We'll inhale, the arms come up and back on the inhale. Then as we exhale, we'll stretch the body. Let the fingers stretch away from the shoulders. Let the feet, heels, and toes stretch away from the hips. Let your next exhale bring your hands back down by your side. Just take a moment to sort of check in, see how your breathing is, see how your body feels so far. And then on the next inhale, bring your arms up and back for a full body stretch again. From here, we'll come into Banana Asana. Let's walk both hands and feet over to the right side of the mat. Walking as far as you're able to, and noticing here that the left rib cage is opening up. Ribs are expanding away from each other. We can cross our left ankle over the right and bring our left palm to the top of the right. And breathe into your rib cage here. Breathe into the left side, especially. Deep breaths. Good. On the next exhale, walk your feet and hands back to center. And as you begin to inhale, walk them over to the other side. Banana Asana to the left. This time, right leg crosses over left at the ankle, and then right hand can lay on the top of the left palm. Once you're set, go ahead and deeply breathe here. Breathe into that opened side of ribs. And then on the next exhale, walk your hands back to the center, and we'll release our hands, bringing them down by our side. We'll walk back up onto our feet, bending our knees to the sky. And let's windshield wiper the legs once again. Arms can be in whatever position works for you. Okay. All right, from here, we're going to roll to one side, stacking our hips and stacking our shoulders. Once we're there, we're going to reach both arms up as if we're turning our body into a sharpened pencil. I don't know why I came up with that little analogy, but it works for me. So arms are up overhead, maybe your palms are together. So first we're balancing on this side of the body, whichever direction you rolled onto. Next, let's begin to lift that top leg. We're going to keep the foot in line, the foot on top in line with the foot on the bottom. As we lift the leg and lower the leg a couple of times, and we're doing this slow so that our thigh body is working on our balance over here against the floor. Next time, for the third time when you lift your foot, let's point the toes up so that you can lift your foot perhaps a bit higher and then release the foot. See how good it feels to stretch to a certain degree, hold the toes there, and then lower the body. From here, we're going to roll onto our bellies. And we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So as you shift your hips and your chest, you'll place your arms with your elbows right out in front of you. Elbows are going to be a little closer to the top of your mat than your shoulders are. And we're opening our hands with palms down, and we're pressing into the floor in Sphinx. And we're doing that in such a way where when we press down into the floor, it's giving us the capacity to lift up through our shoulders, lift our chest up through our shoulders. Keep the bottom half of your body weighted. Maybe draw your knees a little bit away from each other and press the tops of your feet into the floor. And breathe. Here. Good. Now on the next exhale, we'll lower our chest down. We can slide our hands forward and we'll begin to gently turn to the opposite side, stacking shoulders and hips here, and then lifting the arms up overhead by the ears. placing the palms of the hands toward one another and practicing our balance here. Now, an option here is to take the top hand and put it in front of your chest and use that arm to help keep you balanced. On the next inhale, keeping the top foot in the same position, inhale to lift the foot up away from the lower leg. Exhale to lower the foot. We're doing this nice and slow. So an inhale lifts the foot, and an exhale lowers the foot down. This time as we lift the foot, we'll turn the toes so that they're kind of pointing toward us as we lift that leg. And then we'll exhale, slowly lowering the foot, and it comes back into its place, right on top of the opposite. Let the next inhale lift your foot for the last time, and then slowly exhale that foot down. We're going to roll back onto our belly here. We're going to work on bow pose. Almost said boat pose accidentally. Bow pose. So on our bellies, let's first try bending up through the left knee. We'll reach the left hand back behind us, grabbing onto a pant leg, an ankle, a foot. And we're going to press the foot and heel toward our hips. We're going to get a nice stretch first in our quadriceps muscles at the front of the thigh. And then if you'd like, on the next inhale, you can lift your head, neck, and chest on the left side. And you can extend that hand, pulling the foot towards you, and then press into the foot to try to pull the hand away from you. This is half bow. You can release your half bow, maybe bring it into a quad stretch again with the leg relaxed and totally on the floor. And then you can inhale back up to a half bow. Hold here for a breath if you'd like. And then exhale, releasing. And let's straighten that left leg. Just rest our head on top of our hands. Taking a breath or two here. The next inhale, let's lift the opposite foot. Excuse me, right heel comes into right hip. The right hand reaches around, and we're first just going to draw the bottom of our leg toward us by holding on to something that's available. If nothing's available, we can use a strap, or we can just pretend like we're holding on here, and we'll tighten the muscles in the leg to draw the heel as close as we can. When you're ready, on an inhale, you can lift your head, neck, and chest on the right side. Hold on, and then find that play between your arm and your leg where the foot or the hand are opposing each other. And then exhale. Take a break of a few breaths. And let your next inhale lift you up again into half bow on the right side. Holding for a breath or two, releasing whenever your body cues you that it's time to release. If you'd like, you can work on half bow side to side again, and if you'd like, you can work on full bow. So no matter which one you're doing, go ahead and bend up through the knee, bring the heel or heels close. See if you can reach the hand or hands around to the back. And then hold on as you lift and open either one half of your body or the whole chest and shoulder area, along with a little in your hips here, a little in the knees. And we'll relax as you're ready. Just like the half bow, we'll come up again when we're ready. We'll take a breath in. Maybe lift our knees and thighs up off the floor, a little or a lot. And then exhale to release as you're ready. Take a couple of breaths, checking in with the spine, maybe rocking the hips to the left and to the right here. We'll come up to table from here. Patting our knees, perhaps. Setting hips above knees, shoulders above wrists. Turning the insides of the elbows toward one another. And let's start with cat-cows. So we're going to round our spine, lift our navel, and then point our tailbone and our head kind of toward each other. We might look at our thighs, and then we'll relax that navel. Head lifts slightly, tailbone lifts a little more, and we'll keep going back and forth here. Undulating the spine, kind of waking it up here. We'll bring our spine to neutral and go ahead and grab both blocks, placing them right up by where your hands are. We're going to shift onto our right side to draw our left foot forward. We're going to come into a lunge here. We can keep our lunge low to the ground by letting our chest and belly kind of hang on this left forward leg. Or we can use blocks. We can bring the floor a little closer to our hands, create a little more distance between our chest and our belly and our thigh and our hip, right? And so we can elevate the body as much as is comfortable, but no matter where we are keeping ourselves in alignment. So I hope that makes sense. We're not rounding the spine and we're not bringing the hips out of a neutral position where they attach to the spine. From this lunge, let's come into a revolved angle by leaning on our right hand, and we're going to turn our chest towards this left leg or thigh. And we can do this from a higher up position or from a low to the ground position. Once we're leaned over towards the right with our chest and abdomen, we can draw the top hand up, stacking elbows and wrists and fingertips. Press into the foot in front of you, the sole of the foot, and press into the top of the foot behind you. Let's exhale, that arm comes down. And from here, we'll draw that leg back. And let's switch to the other side with our lunge. So we'll lean on the left side, step the right foot forward, bring the heel up so that it's right in line with your knee. And then release the hips to the floor. Find your height here, or find your stability here. We all come to yoga with kind of an idea of how we want this practice to go today, how much we want to work. What is it our body can do? What is it the body can't do? Let's come into revolved angle on this side by leaving our left hand down on the floor or on a block right by the right foot. We'll turn our chest towards the forward right leg and we'll inhale the arm up, stacking hands perhaps, perhaps not, perhaps lifting the arm out to the side more than up overhead. None of us have to look exactly the same. That's the beauty. From here, we'll release that lifted hand. We'll turn our chest, squaring it back with the mat. And let's step this right foot and knee back. Widen the knees away from each other. Bring the big toes toward each other. We'll sink our hips back towards our heels. And then stretch or slide our hands forward for an extended child's pose. Let's lift the elbows off the floor, creep or crawl, and walk the fingers away. Feel the lengthening in the arms, maybe even into your back. But let your hips be weighted. Now, if it's not comfortable to have the hips all the way back and down, especially with knees that might be injured, come into puppy dog instead. That way the chest is still released forward. The spine is draped. This is called bleeding heart pose in yin. It's called puppy dog in yoga, yang yoga. And from here on the next inhale, let's lift back up into our table. From here, we're going to come into a kneeling pose if that's possible. We can walk our hands towards our knees. We can even engage our blocks once again, bring them in front of us to push ourselves further up off of the mat. Make sure your knees are hip distance apart. We're going to take turns drawing each heel up towards our hip, just like we did laying down on our belly. We'll square our chest again, even if we had to turn to let that arm on that side grab that leg. We can use both arms if we'd like even. And we're stretching the quad here. If your knees are bothering you, maybe you can stretch your quads seated by bringing one leg kind of under you. It depends on what your range of motion is. Go ahead and draw the opposite heel into the hip, stretching the thigh. All right, releasing that. One more pose from table here. Come into your onto your hands and knees rather. We'll move our hands, 2 handprints up. We're going to draw first the left knee towards the left wrist. And we're going to walk the left foot. Maybe it's comfortable underneath the left hip, but if you're able, let's open that hip a little bit more by walking the left foot so that the heel's right in front of that right thigh at the top, maybe in front of your hip. It just depends. Somewhere along the thigh. We can prop ourselves up. We can even use blocks if this position feels more comfortable. We could even put a block under the hip with the knee that's forward, giving ourselves a little more support back there, maybe trying the block at a couple different levels, see what works, a couple different places, see what works. And if you'd like to move from pigeon to resting pigeon on your forearms, or to sleeping pigeon by bringing the chest and head all the way down, please do that. And take a few breaths. Let's release from this pose on the next inhale by getting our hands underneath our shoulders, pressing on the hands so we can shift the hips back and draw that left foot back, coming back up into our table. Let's walk the hands forward again, because this time we'll draw the right knee towards the right wrist. We'll keep the right foot where it is or walk it over towards the left side as we scooch our hips towards the floor. Again, maybe using a block under the hip, keeping our elevation. I like to do that to begin with. And then on the next exhale, if you'd like to come into resting or sleeping pigeon, go ahead and do that. One of the reasons to come down lower is to use your muscles to lift you up again. The more we can keep our ability to lift ourselves, our weight up off the floor, the longer will it be able to be independent. You can sleep in your pigeon. We're just taking a few breaths, hanging out a little longer in this shape. On the next inhale, let's lift back up, coming back to our table. From here, we'll move into downward facing dog if you're able. From downward dog, we're going to come into plank. Then we'll come back into downward dog, come into a forward fold, and then we'll go to standing. So from your table, curl under your toes, press on your feet, lift your knees, lift your hips up and back, and come on to your hands where your hips are kind of in between your hands and your feet, your hips and your shoulders, both in between your hands and your feet. And we can walk the dog here to stretch the calves. Some people like to walk their legs a little bit apart here. Some people like to keep their feet more together. Do what feels good. From here, we'll come into plank, shifting the hips so that they're in between the shoulders and the ankles or the toes, however you want to look at it. Let the exhale bring you into half plank if you'd like. And either come up to downward dog again through table or through your plank and walk hands towards your feet or walk feet towards your hands. If you have another way of standing, you could bring both feet together and then start to straighten your knees. We'll all meet in a forward fold. And from here, let's inhale, pressing down through the feet, lifting up through the arms and the hands, bringing the palms together and exhaling the hands to the heart. Take a breath here, standing in your mountain pose. From our mountain pose here, we'll begin some sun breaths, and we'll just inhale the arms up as we take in that big breath, and then exhale the arms down. You can keep moving with your pace, moving with the pace of your breath, rather, and keeping your arms engaged, lifting, stretching, reaching, bringing back together, taking away, and bringing back together. If you'd like, you can begin doing sun breaths that lift the heels. So we'll inhale the arms up overhead as we lift our heels up. And as we exhale, our arms release, so do our heels. Maybe we're holding onto a piece of furniture for this part, or a wall or a chair. Whatever works for your body. Good. Next time your heels are on the floor, keep them there. And so just a quick blurb that when you need some energy during the day or when you first wake up in the morning, it might be helpful for you to do some sun breaths. Maybe you're sitting in your bed and you're just doing the top half of your body, right? So that's a vinyasa flow that you can carry forward with you and do to practice your own yoga. Another core flow is the morning greeting. So let's do that one together again today. It starts with a sun breath. Let's lift our arms up overhead, bringing the hands together. Exhale, hands float down to the heart. Inhale, pause. Exhale, hands come straight out in front. We bring them to shoulder height and we straighten the elbows. Inhale, we're going to lift our chin, send our hands behind us so we open the chest, engaging here, broadening the collarbone. Exhale, let your spine go from an arch to a curl as you bring your hands back together again, shoulder height. Chin is tucked to the chest, so you feel that nice stretch in the length of your spine. As you inhale next, you'll bring the hands in. And as you exhale, release the hands from the heart by your sides. Let's do that 2 more times. Morning greeting. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale. Exhale, hands out in front with gaze forward. Inhale, gaze lifts, heart opens. Exhale, round the spine, hands come forward, chin tucks. Inhale, hands come back to the heart. Exhale, hands release by your side. Inhale once more. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Nice. From here, let's come up onto our tiptoes once again for palm tree. So on the next inhale, let's swipe or roll our hands up towards the ceiling. Let's come up onto our toes and keeping our hands and arms lifted, reaching our fingertips as high up towards the sky and stars as we can. Let's walk around our mat on our tiptoes in palm tree. Walk all the way to the top of your mat and then release your arms down by your side. Step your right foot back. Come into warrior one position with your feet. So the back foot is turned a little bit diagonally, heels in towards the center, toes are out towards the edge. We'll bend our front knee, taking care to not send the knee too far forward over the foot. It shouldn't be any more forward than the heel. And then we'll lift our arms. Our chest and hips are facing the short end of the mat. Maybe you lifted only one arm. You want to stay partially grounded. You can bring your hands and arms into any shape or lift them any degree or not at all. Good. On the next inhale, let's step that back right foot forward. We can bend the knee, lean into it, shift our weight forward, and we're going to come right up into a palm tree stretch again. So we'll stretch, walk on our tiptoes, and we're headed towards the bottom of the mat. Good. Let's release the arms, come into mountain here, and then we'll step the left foot back into our warrior one shape. From warrior one here, legs, let's add the arms as you'd like. Stretching the back leg slightly. Hips and chest facing the short edge of the mat, knee bent slightly. All right. From here, let's step that left foot forward, coming back into our mountain. And let's turn to the long edge of the mat, find our mountain once again. Bringing our hands to our hips, let's walk our feet apart so that our toes are a little wider than our heels. Feel side to side the balance of your body so that your hips are right in between the feet. Now, test out your ability to lower your hips and bend your knees so that your knees stay right above your ankles, okay? We can inhale to lift, exhale to lower. And what we're really doing here is coming into goddess legs, lifting and lowering. Let's now lift the arms with straight legs. Both limbs, sets of limbs, top and bottom, are in V's. Let's exhale, come into cactus arms, goddess legs. Inhale, come into 5-star. Exhale, come into goddess. Inhale, come into 5-star. One more exhale, we'll come into goddess. Let's release our hands towards our knees and let's sway our hips from side to side. And then when you need to release, straighten those knees and walk the feet together. With your feet side by side, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, let's sink back and down into chair. Maybe the hands lower all the way to the knees, to the waist or hips. Maybe they're out in front of you. Maybe they're up overhead by the ears. When you need to release, press down through your feet, lift up on an inhale through your torso, arms reaching high overhead, and then exhale your hands down by your side or to your heart. From here, let's go down to our mats through a squat. So let's release our hips. We might stand in the same way we did for goddess. I think my heels are a little closer together. When I come down into a squat, we can reach our hands down. We can use blocks to help steady us. We can maneuver how we need to make this work for the hips. And then one hand goes in front, one hand goes in back, and we'll release the hips all the way to the floor. Come into any comfortable seated position. Maybe you're sitting in wide angle, straddling. Maybe you're in staff pose with both legs out. Maybe you're in butterfly. Let's move the spine in the 7 ways the spine can move. We'll start by lifting the arms up overhead and just reaching the hands, lengthening the arms, palms face in towards one another. Chin is neutral. Let's try to reach towards the stars. Good. Exhale, bring your hands right down by your side. Inhale, bring your hands up wide like wings. Exhale, bring your hands together just like we did in morning greeting and let your spine round. Inhale, drawing your arms apart, hands come out to the sides, and then we'll arch the back by drawing the hands behind us, looking up with our eyes. Exhale, bring your arms right back down. Inhale, let's take a sun breath. Exhale, we'll release the left hand. We'll plant it on the floor and let the right arm reach over, the right hand and arm reach over. We'll inhale to lift back up, straight up and down here. Find that length first, then exhale your arm down. Let's switch to the other side. We'll inhale both arms up. The next exhale just releases that right arm and we'll reach that left hand over as we laterally bend. Let the next inhale bring us straight up and down. And the exhale releases our arm down by our side. Let's bring the left hand over to the right knee. We're going to roll our right shoulder forward, back, and down. Let your elbow on the left side, sorry, it is on the right side. I'm mirroring you. Go back behind you to open that side of the body. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, twist slowly and carefully. breathing there or letting go, inhaling to lengthen again, exhaling to twist again. Some people like the stillness, some people like the movement. Good. Now bring your chin back to center. Bring your torso back to center, and we'll switch to the other side. Right hand comes over to the left knee. We'll roll that left shoulder up, back, and down. Open that chest with the hands supporting you, back behind you. Inhale to lengthen. See how tall you can get your body to be. Exhale to twist. Breathing here or inhaling again to lengthen. Exhaling to twist, releasing in between. Release that knee, let your chin come back to center, let your chest come back to center, and let's stretch our legs long out in front of us. In fact, we're going to move into a wide angle from here. Wide angle or straddle your legs and press through both heels. Active legs. Notice how the thighs activated, the knees kind of lifted this way towards you. From here, we'll release our arm down by our side. We'll inhale, sun breath, lifting the arms up overhead. Exhale, let's lower forward, coming into a wide angle forward fold. Support your body, your upper body with your hands. Keep your back as straight as you can. And just press your legs and the back of your heel into the floor and mat. And take a couple breaths. We'll take another inhale. We'll lift our arms back up overhead. We'll exhale, our arms come down by our side. From here, we'll come into butterfly pose. Bend through each knee, bringing the sole of both feet together. Press gently, toe to toe, heel to heel. Release the knees out to the side. Inhale the arms up. And then exhale, come into a butterfly forward fold. Letting your chest release again, letting the hands release faster, supporting you, holding you up. Not ever taking a stretch or a pose or a posture too deeply. Always erring on the side of caution. Let your next inhale lift your body up as you engage your core. And exhale releases the arms down by your side. Now we straighten those knees. We come into staff pose. And we're going to press through our heels. Again, feeling that same length that we did when we were in straddle or wide angle. We'll release our hands, let an inhale lift them up. Exhale, fold forward. Releasing the hands. This time, let's round the spine. Drop the top of your head. Tuck the chin. Make the upper body feel heavy, heavy, heavy. On the next inhale, engage your whole core and let your arms and head lift up. Come up to seated again, and then exhale the arms down by your side. We're going to get down to our mat the same way we did at the beginning of class by rocking and rolling. So we'll turn towards the short end of the mat, and we'll just let our head and back go. And we'll rock ourselves from reclined to seated. Just letting the floor and the firmness of the floor massage our spine right along the center. And the next time your back is all the way down, we'll go ahead and stay there, bringing our knees in towards our hips. Or, excuse me, not towards our hips, towards our chest, and wrapping our arms around the legs. And now let's rock from left to right, side to side. We'll come back to center and we'll come into happy baby. So with the knees still into the chest, we'll widen the feet and the knees away from each other first. Then we'll lift the feet until the heels are right on top of the knees. We'll reach our hands either up through the middle or around the outside of the feet. And we'll hold on to the feet or the legs somewhere, letting the knees lower toward our body to stretch different muscles of the backs of the legs and in the hip joint. You can rock from side to side here, rock the baby. And when you're ready to release your legs, to let them float down to the mat, knees bent to the sky, go ahead and do that. Let's bring just the right knee into the chest now. Let's lift that foot towards the ceiling. Now from here, we can keep that left knee bent with the foot on the mat, or we can straighten the leg. See how it feels to inhale, lifting your head, neck, and chest. Reach your hands towards your foot. Reaching into spider here. Exhale to release your upper body. Slowly float it down along with the hands. Let the foot release. And then we'll come into wind relieving pose on the opposite side. Left knee into the chest. Right knee bent with the foot on the floor, or straight leg pressing through that heel of the extended leg. And then we'll inhale, lifting the foot towards the ceiling, stretching the leg, unbending the knee as much as possible. The next inhale lifts us up into spider on this side, reaching our hands toward, maybe using our leg to help support us as we reach. Sacrum glued to the floor. Exhale to release your head, your neck. It floats down to the mat. Hands and feet do too. And let's let both feet come up onto the floor. Let's bring our knees into our chest one last time. Let's lift our feet into the air and do a quick yoga walk, stretching through the bottom and the top of each foot as you alternate pedaling. Let's go backwards with our yoga walk. And now bring your feet and your heels together. Bring your arms along down by your side, or even try lifting your hips a little and placing the hands, palms down underneath the hips, and then slowly lower the legs as slowly as you can. Slow the descent. And then let the body release on the mat. You can move your hands out from under your hips. Come into your final Shavasana shape here. Maybe your legs are long, maybe your knees are bent. You're in constructive rest. The key here is to make your body 100% comfortable. 99% will not do. And once you think you're there, start to relax your whole body. And if you find you need to adjust, like maybe something that didn't bother you before is bothering you more now, then go ahead and adjust. See if you can let your body release more and more to the mat. giving your muscles time to react here. Some are slower than others, right? Some tightness may still be holding on somewhere. You might be able to release it mentally, but you might not. Closing down the eyes once again, breathing through the nose. Begin to take longer and longer breaths. Do a body scan. Where are you tingling still? Where can you feel energy in the body? And is it staying in one place? Does it move around? Releasing more and more to the earth, letting the earth prove to us once more that it's got our back. Learning to come to yoga class with no agenda other than just to let your body and your feel of your body take over. See if you can relax your forehead muscles, your jaw, your shoulders, your hips, your elbows, your knees, your wrists, your ankles, your hands, your feet, your arms, and your legs, your head, your spine. Take 10 to 15 more breaths here. Now let's slowly begin to bring a little more life into our body by starting slow movements of rocking the head from left to right. The next time your chin rolls to the center, hold it there and shift all the way onto one side. We'll press ourselves up away from the floor and we'll bring ourselves back up into another comfortable seated position, any one you'd like. Just for a few moments as we close our class together. So releasing your arms down by your side. Let's inhale a sun breath, bringing the arms up overhead once more. Hands together, exhale, hands to the heart. On the way, close your eyes. Release your chin to your chest so you can bow to the very divine being that's inside of us, each of us. The light in me honors the light in you. Let the next inhale lift your chin. You can flutter open your eyes, release your hands, and thank you so much for joining me today for a nice, gentle, winding down yoga practice. Hope to see you next week. Have a good rest of your week and a good weekend. Take care.